Mr. Haas's rather stormy tenure all season.
Had a big problem with communicating. I think that's eventually what did him in. He knew a lot about baseball, but he couldn't communicate it to his players, and it did him in. Ted Turner relayed his decision to fire Eddie Haas this morning in a phone call to general manager John Mullen. Third base coach Bobby Wine has been named the interim manager for the remainder of the 1985 season. And to put it politely, the Braves are floundering. They've lost 12 of their last 13 games, and they now trail Los Angeles by 22 games in the West. The formal announcement, well, it was made this afternoon at a stadium news conference.
Ted is the only one that can trigger that. We thought about it, and it was up to Ted to make the decision. He called me this morning and said, let's do it. So that's why we're here.
Bobby Wine's new title is interim manager. What exactly does interim mean? Is it going to be 6 weeks or a permanent basis? Only Ted Turner knows the answer.
If Ted has any ideas about hiring anybody else at this moment, he hasn't told me.
Well, I think we're going to try to get through this year right now. We're going to try to get the club thinking positive and getting straightened out this year, and then we'll worry about next year when time comes. I'm sure if things work out fine, we'll be able to sit down and talk.
Wine played in the major leagues for 12 years with Philadelphia and Montreal. He had been a coach in the Phillies organization from 1972 to 83. Bobby knows as much about the National League as anyone, having been an excellent player and a coach. Now he gets the chance to manage.
We might step on a few toes here and there, but I think this club is willing to work, and I think they're willing to do a lot of things that we're going to ask them to do. We're going to be a little more aggressive. We're going to play a little more hit and running and bunting guys over a little bit, and hopefully we'll turn that around and some of the big guys get hot, and a lot of things can happen in 6 weeks. We're not just going to die.
That's right, a lot of things can happen. Now, among the Braves players, there has been a lot of grumbling about the tactics and the strategy of Eddie Haas. Bill Hartman is live from the stadium, and he has more on that aspect of it.
Thanks, Jeff. I've been in the locker room for about the last hour and a half, talked to probably 15 different Braves baseball players, and some of them are not saying a whole lot. They want to see how this pans out before they start making a comment about what might or might not happen. But there was at least one Brave who was not unhappy to see Mr. Haas go.
What do you think about what happened today?
Bring by the Eddie Penn ride. Best move this organization could have made.
Really?
To be honest with you, yeah.
What was the problem?
Well, there was a lot of things. A lack of communication. There was question marks on a lot of players, you know, the fact that they weren't playing, why they weren't playing, and, you know, it was just, it's been a miserable season. This team has too much talent, and supposedly it's supposed to be the best club, and I believe it is the best club that they've had here since I've been here in my 5 years here. And there's no reason why we should be 22, 23 games out of first place.
When you, did communication between you and him break down sometime this summer?
Or was never any communication from the start. I mean, if you went in there and you spoke to Eddie, it was like you were getting on his nerves. And, you know, he just sat there just like, more like a bump on a log. He had nothing to say.
That was Claudell Washington, who has been told that he is not in the Braves' plans for next season. Sally Sears is also here at the stadium. She's been covering another aspect of this story. Sally?
Bill, I'm up here just above you, way up in the stands, and earlier today we talked to a lot of fans as they came in here. I tell you, they are turning jumping jacks. They are so delighted that Eddie Haas is gone. We talked to the fans as they were coming into the stadium this afternoon. Here's some of the things they told me.
It's about time, I think. You know, they've lost too many games.
He's not a big league coach. He should have stayed at Richmond.
Ooh, that's pretty harsh.
But right is right. Why are you going to sit Bob Hunter out? Bob Hunter should play every game. Claudell Washington will never win.
I came all the way from Alabama to see him. I'm a diehard Braves fan.
Yeah. What did you think about them canning Eddie Haas today?
I thought it was a little late. A lot late.
He's just not, I don't think, the type that gives everybody that spunk you really need to go. I don't think he gave them the lift they needed.
I've talked with Ted Turner in his office. Ted Turner's a personal friend of mine. I've talked with him. I told him heads are hard, but hearts was the wrong man to start with. You see, we need some winners. We don't need no losers.
Is it fair to fire a guy just because the team's losing?
Well, no, the team doesn't. The manager doesn't make or break the team, but it does make a difference. The manager does make a difference in the way the fans feel, and that has a lot to do with the way the team does in general, I think.
So, there you heard it. A little bit brutal, it seemed to me. Everybody I talked to, glad to see the man gone. They used words like morale, spunk, liveliness to say the Braves needed something that Haas just wasn't delivering. And then we get up here and see a message that could have been written to Mr. Haas in the middle of the field. When it rains, it pours.
Sally, they also used some words that I'm glad you did not write down.
Yes, Jeff, they did, and it was pretty juicy. I tell you, this is quite a day for the fans. A lot of them came to see baseball, and they got a Palace revolution.
Sally Sears, thank you very much. Eddie Haas has been unavailable for comment to all of this. It's sad to see it happen to Haas. Decent guy who worked his entire life to get a shot at managing in the big leagues. 25 years of learning and preparation only to be fired after 4 months into the season. Haas will, in all probability, remain in the organization. Now, when we come back, more comments from Bobby Wine. Bill Hartman will be live at the stadium, and the Falcons are wheeling and dealing again, so we've got a lot to talk about.
Jeff, we heard rumors and speculation early in the season that Phil Niekro, for example, might be coming in to take over the ailing Braves. That was early in the season. Are we still hearing those rumors now?
If you think you were hearing that a few weeks and months ago, wait till you start hearing that in the weeks ahead. It is going to get wild because Niekro, I think Niekro is the man right now that everybody is pointing to, and Ted Turner will probably talk to Niekro, I would think. Another name tossed around, Chuck Tanner, Pittsburgh Pirates right now. Tanner, of course, with a club maybe the worst in the National League, but an excellent manager, and it'll be interesting to see what